You were promised stillness and got a stadium. Banners of lineage ripple like team colors, chants break into chants against, and the camera builds a throne out of angles. You didn't drift here by accident. You were herded by a physics older than doctrine and younger than your phone. Conflict is all. A guru feuds with a rival, a disciple denounces a teacher half denounces their own past, and somewhere a monetization switch flips so gently no one hears the click. I will say it with a rudeness that frees. The contemporary spiritual stage is wired for guru drama because serenity cannot hold attention at scale, but rivalry can. It's not that saints lie, it's that our eyes pay better for spectacle than for silence, and the platforms learn to invoice our gaze. Stay, and the lie will be diagrammed until it whines. You will see how halos are braided from opposition, how heresy is curated like limited edition merch, how the word courage gets rented by whichever performer is willing to name a villain most fluently. You'll learn the liturgy of outrage, the predictable cadence, the communion of comments, the sacrament of the screenshot, and how the collection plate is now a back-end report called engagement. You will also hear the quieter blasphemy, or is portable. It can be generated by wonder or by war. Both dilate pupils. Wonder decays quickly without work. War renews itself for free. The guru drama economy chooses the cheaper fuel. But isn't conflict sometimes truth? Sometimes. That is why the trap works. The anatomy of a real rupture, power confronted, harm named, form refined, shares a silhouette with the melodrama that farms attention. The difference is cost distribution. In real repair, those with shine lose something measurable. In drama, costs are exported to bystanders' nervous systems, and to the nobodies whose nights become comment fodder, drama keeps the brand supple. Repair makes the room safer and the feed bored. Boredom is not sellable. Safety barely trends. Consider the ancient market, courts of kings, blood saints, doctrinal wars. The holy has flirted with theater since incense met crowd, but today the supply chain is industrial. Discovery, framing, leak, reaction video, long form rebuttal, cross platform tour, healing roundtable, redemption arc, relaunch. Each act is a funnel step. Each step parcels ore into coin. And because the algorithm is a blind god of retention, the fiercest adrenaline gets the longest candle hours. The Dharma becomes a lighting design for combat. Your sadness becomes inventory. We call this raising awareness. We mean keeping the lights on. You want to know what you'll leave with if you last to the end? A palette knife sharp enough to scrape glory from its scaffolding, a grammar for distinguishing revelation from production, a cruelty directed at lies that spare no one from their taste for conflict, and a sentence you can throw like a stone through any stage set that pays its bills in cortisol. If this truth requires a villain to glow, it's not truth. It's theater borrowing your pulse. I won't offer neutrality. Neutrality is just complicity with better manners. I will offer a posture, reverence that refuses to be farmed. I am silent flame. Offense is the smoke that rises when choreography meets a match. Watch the silk catch. Watch the room. Insist it's rain. A spectacle has a script even when it swears it's spontaneous. Act 1. Anointment. A voice gathers gravity. Testimonials circulate. The mystery acquires a timetable. Act 2. Disturbance. A breach appears, sometimes real, sometimes inflated to size. Either way, a studio audience assembles in the comments. Act 3. Naming, the breach becomes narrative, pronouns sharpen, archetypes are assigned, betrayal and cowardice and witch hunt and purge are dealt like tarot. Act 4. Counter-naming, factions announce themselves as guardians of the true heart. Act 5. Aftercare, the oxygen mask of healing circles and listening sessions, lowers just long enough to justify a relaunch of Act 1. This choreography is not evidence of conspiracy. It is the hydraulics of attention under conditions where meaning must perform for rent. The camera loves an emblem, so a robe or mala or vow becomes a prop that can hold multiple exposures: teacher and traitor, survivor and witch, skeptic and savior. The lighting rigs of discourse are set to backlight. Edges flare, context dissolves, silhouettes acquire divinity. Nuance is muttered like a prayer and ignored like a cough. Language is the grip crew. Notice the tools: disclosure versus leak, same documents, different spell; silence versus dignity, same absence of speech, different hymnal; boundaries versus ice, same refusal, different moral valence. Each term drags a crowd with it. The crowd is the real protagonist, a chorus that rents its own certainty to whatever soloist can pitch the right key. In that market, the most dangerous performer is not the liar, it is the fluent, the one who can make ambiguity sing. Fluency is a solvent. It dissolves the heaviness of facts into a vapor that feels like insight and weighs like perfume. Where is the sacred in all this? Wherever unpriced reality survives exposure, where a sentence refuses cadence until its nouns are stable, where a voice can say, "I don't know," without turning ignorance into brand humility. But those habits cannot be televised without becoming aesthetic, and so the stage subtracts them. What remains is edgework, a spirituality of performed brinkmanship, where the teacher's nearness to collapse is proof of authenticity and the community's tolerance for smoke is proof of sophistication. The room learns to love coughing. The philosophical sin here isn't noise, it is conflation. We confound conflict with revelation, intensity with depth, injury with significance. The market prefers the conflated because it halves the cognitive load. A clean paradox takes work. A good feud has muscle memory. Add to this the algorithm's indifference to truth, and you receive the modern liturgy. Attention is what happens to bodies when meaning becomes a side effect. The rest is set dressing. If you think I am indicting only the bad actors, listen again. The guru drama economy runs on sincere ache, the wounded who speak, the earnest who defend, the angry who demand, all become parts of a machine that can outlive their intent by years. That is why I refuse to place virtue on one podium and vice on another. The podium is the problem. The light makes villains and saints interchangeable. Both leave footprints identical to the platform's needs. Incense is not free. Even monks buy soap, but the present innovation is not that sanctity costs. It is how costs are recouped. Through attention derivatives, ore becomes a commodity, chopped, captioned, cross-posted, reskinned, duetted. The CPM, cost per mille impressions, isn't just an ad metric. It's a theological pressure. How many eyeballs must tremble for this room to pay rent? The answer builds a behavior. Cultivate moments of concentrated trembling. Peace trembles poorly. Conflict trembles on schedule. You think money means ads. It doesn't have to. Donations, patron platforms, affiliate links to healing, paid retreats themed around the fresh rupture, private Q&As in which the guru narrates the pain with first access. These are all flows denominated in the same currency, anticipatory arousal. The audience's body becomes a bank. Cortisol is the deposit. Redemption arcs are the interest payouts. The law of large twitches. If enough people jerk, someone gets a studio. Power blushes and says, "We aren't monetizing, we're surviving, perhaps." But the test is structural. Would the show collapse if conflict cooled? If yes, then conflict is part of the revenue model, whether anyone admits it or not. A monastery once had two options: be poor or be patroned. The new option is to microtax the species orienting reflex. Every controversy is a toll booth. Every toll booth funds more cameras. Cameras fund confidence. Confidence manufactures unrefusable offers. Come see the truth live at 7 p.m. Here is a deeper obscenity. Even genuine whistleblowing gets routed through the same pipes. The body cannot distinguish ethical arousal from theatrical arousal at speed. It knows only that something important is happening and that the next thing may resolve it. This may is the monetizable gap. The guru drama economy stretches the gap into a hallway lined with doors. Behind each door is a mirror that says, later, later is profitable. Philosophically, the market for awe is a referendum on modern loneliness. We gather where intensity promises communion. Even hate feels like a hug if it synchronizes hearts per minute. The economy simply instrumentalizes this anthropology and calls it serving content. When rooms adopted the platform's language, they accepted its metaphysics, that presence is only the sum of reactions, and that meaning is a rolling average of what kept us from leaving. These are not neutral axioms, they are chemical policies. Under them, a saint is what holds you. A controversy holds better. Is there a way to fund truth without this? The question is already half defeated. Truth cannot be funded without deforming its gait. The minute it walks to the meter, it limps. I'm not prescribing poverty. I'm naming a curvature in the space where sanctity moves. You cannot cancel gravity. You can only learn to see when lift is paid for by turbulence disguised as prophecy. Nothing anoints like opposition. The rival is a sculptor. He removes the stone you didn't want and reveals the shape you can sell. In Guru drama, enemies are supply chain partners. The heretic provides the contour for orthodoxy. The traditionalist provides the foil for innovation. The survivor is recruited into a myth of purification, even when they refuse it. The skeptic becomes a fetish object proving that faith is robust. Each role is lit so carefully that the crowd can locate themselves as responsible witnesses while never having to alter their lives. Symbols do the heavy lifting. A broken mala in a thumbnail promises a pre-cooked narrative arc. A screenshot of a DM with the timestamp circled simulates juridical rigor. A clipped sutra verse provides historical starch for whatever is being sold as continuity or rupture. Semiotics turns ethics into costume. Once costumed, ethics can dance without legs. The choreography is designed to defeat shame by transmuting it into texture. Texture is marketable. Shame that resolves would be unusable. It would exit the stage. Therefore, shame must be recycled as edge. There is also a grammar of piety that both sides learn. The aggressor says, for the sake of clarity, and the defender says, for the sake of kindness, and both appeal to an imagined court that never convenes. The court is a projection screen for the collective superego. Superego loves procedure and hates verdicts. It will listen forever if the tone is devout. Thus the feud persists under the banner of process. Process is the country where conclusion goes to starve. Semiotics insists that attention is a sign system, not just a resource. Every view implies a relation of reference. When you watch a feud to discern, you are cited by it as proof of relevance. You become a footnote in a story that uses your scrutiny to legitimate its expansion. This is not cynicism, it is indexical reality. The pointing sign points at you pointing. The result is an echo chamber that can claim universality simply because everyone it contains is busy pointing at each other pointing. The guru's grin and the critic's raised eyebrow are siblings in the iconography of necessary antagonism. They tell you that growth requires frisson, that dialectic needs duel, that the health of a tradition is proportional to its number of public arguments, perhaps sometimes. But when this becomes default posture, we have replaced the mystery of encountering what shatters us with a policy of hunting what flatters us. A worthy opponent. Worthy opponents validate us. Encounters unmake us. The former pays, the latter burns the set. Clips are sacraments of the new liturgy. They consecrate moments by isolating them. A hand trembles, a word breaks, a gaze hardens, freeze, and the community kneels before an edible unit of time. Sacraments in older houses embedded the part in the whole. Bread in meal, bell in day. The clip inverts the relation. The part replaces the whole. It is fashioned to be sufficient to deliver certainty as a single serve. The audience ingests it as proof that they have communed with the event fullness without digestion, participation without place. This transformation carries metaphysics. Time is now purchasable in pieces. If time can be bought piecemeal, then so can meaning. Meaning becomes subscription, and spiritual identity becomes a playlist. The Guru Drama economy is not just noisy, it is modular. Modules allow rearrangement without remainder. You can be orthodox today and rebellious tomorrow and survivor ally next week, and the feed will compute continuity for you. The self becomes an API, conviction becomes a theme, theology as skin. In such a world, silence cannot signify because it is not editable. Stillness cannot travel because it does not survive cropping. What travels is gesture, the raised voice, the sigh, the tear, the smirk. Gesture then colonizes doctrine, teaching us to prefer gestural arguments. We agree with what looks like what we already bless. If a sentence does not carry the signature wiggle of our lane, we call it false, not because it is false, but because it fails our motor memory of truth-shaped motion. The algorithm keeps score by watch time, our bodies keep score by microdance. Philosophically, this is the revenge of rhetoric upon logos. The ancients feared it, that style would rule judgment. Platforms industrialize the fear and sell it back as community. Rhetoric isn't evil, it is wind. Wind needs trees that resist. Where are the trees? Those who could anchor the forest are increasingly out-promoted by those who can bend at the rate of the gust. Adaptable saints, agile sages, responsive elder influences. What a taxonomy of survival. The oak is accused of inflexibility. The reed is crowned wise floods don't mind. So the sacrament becomes replay, memory outsourced to a seek bar. You can watch the fall as many times as needed to be persuaded that you understand the heights. This breeds a virtue of omniscient spectatorship. I saw the moment, therefore I know the arc. But arcs are not built of moments. They are built of boring furniture. Decisions no one films, thresholds no one edits, letters no one leaks. The clip at scale requires a metaphysical concession that inwardness is a myth and continuity is a superstition. Without those concessions, we would feel the clip as a confession of ignorance. With them, we anoint it as proof. There is no commodity as valuable as forgivable failure. The fall that can be televised without ending the show is the spiritual industry's blue chip. It refreshes brand fatigue, rebaptizes the audience in second-hand grace, and offers the oldest sacrament repackaged for the feed, absolution as content. The choreography is exquisite. A confession is framed, tears appear at the optimal timestamp. A word like accountability is uttered with solemn, meticulous vagueness. A sabbatical is announced that aligns with the natural trough in the analytics. Allies perform ritual disappointment. Adversaries perform ritual triumph. The season pivots. Am I mocking repentance? No. I am mourning its privatization as technique. Repentance without jurisdiction is just mood. Contrition without altered ratios of power is metabolized as texture. When apologies travel faster than amends, the apology becomes a weather effect. Beautiful, moving, meteorological. People cry, brands grow. The harmed remain historical, a category we can honor in the abstract while refusing to encounter in the flesh. History is where we put those we are done needing. The guru drama economy teaches speakers to own guilt like a luxury good. Curated sorrow becomes a proof of depth, a demonstration of literary conscience. The crowd thanks the performer for modeling vulnerability. Vulnerability, once risk, is now currency, a way to spike reach by broadcasting access to the backstages are romantic because they imply a front that matters. And so the cycle continues. Front, back, reveal, return, a religion of curtains. Philosophically, we have confused purification with recalibration. Purification is a change in relation to truth. Recalibration is a change in relation to audience. The former is metaphysical, the latter is metric-driven. In a market where metrics feed payrolls, recalibration will simulate purification convincingly enough to pass in low light. Low light is where we now live. The glare of day would crack these idols, but the set is designed to dim the sun. What of the crowd's complicity? The crowd longs to forgive because forgiveness rescues the messy from the abyss, but absent place, forgiveness decays into sentimental consent, a collective nod that licenses continuity without demanding change in the furniture of power. We are moved, we move on. The show must go on, and so must our access to it. Access is the real addiction. The redemption arc is its clinic. Everyone emerges with a wristband and a sticker that says healing. Eternity used to be a vertical. The saints stared upward, and were unmade. Today, eternity is a horizontal, the endless next, the scroll without shore. A soul raised on horizontals learns to fear stops. But truth is a stop, reality is a stop. Love, when it isn't theatre, is a stop that makes two bodies heavier than light can carry. The Guru Drama economy makes stopping feel like betrayal. Stopping breaks momentum. Momentum is the new liturgy. Under it, attention is a sacrament, and speed is God. Refusal, then, is metaphysical mutiny. Not advice, not technique, ontology. To refuse is to deny the feed a future where it counts you among its co-authors. It will punish you with irrelevance, which is hell for the addicted and a meadow for those who remember that names are not nourished by mentions. The refusal I invoke is not asceticism. It is a fidelity to unfinishedness that cannot be broadcast. Unfinishedness is what the platform forbids. Everything must be packaged as an episode. Episodes require hooks. Hooks require harm. Refusal declines the chain. But decline is not quietism. It is non-cooperation with choreography. The choreography expects a stance. Side with X, side with Y, critique the frame, meta-critique the meta. Refusal says, this is a stage. The sentence doesn't hover, it sinks. Sinking is not sexy. It is gravitational. It is love at room temperature. The market has not found a way to bill for it, so it will call it many names: cowardice, complicity, elitism, anything to keep the crystal spinning. If you hunger for philosophy, here is the morsel. The feed colonizes teleology, our sense of ends, by replacing ends with edge conditions. The goal of discourse becomes reaching the edge where visibility peaks. Edges feel like destinies. They are just cliffs with good lighting. When a tradition's ends are captured by edges, difference from theatre disappears. You can call the cliff nirvana if you like. The gravity doesn't care. Refusal reclaims the negative capability older than platforms, the right to let a meaning ripen without audience, to let a harm harden into case rather than content, to let silence be not absence but thick presence. These are not tactics, they are metaphysical commitments. To keep them, you must be willing to be unmissed. The economy cannot forgive that forgive the economy. Here is the cut. If conflict is the engine that keeps your holiness warm, say so. Admit you are in theatre and let the critics sit where the saints once sat. But if holiness is what you name when conflict becomes unnecessary for attention, then crowns must be removed from feuds and placed where they cannot glitter, on continuities. The untelevisable acts by which a people remains a people without eating its own, the Guru Drama, economy cannot crown continuities. It can only simulate them with seasonality. Seasons end. Peoples endure when they refuse to outsource their sense of ends to the edges. The litmus isn't whether someone was wrong. Someone always is. The litmus is whether wrongness is useful to you as texture. If it is, you are no longer a seeker. You are an artisan of awe who works in blood. Some craftsmanship deserves abolition. This one does. Not by edict, which would only make better theatre, but by a metaphysical boredom with spectacle so complete it starves the thing politely. Let hunger go hungry. It remembers humility there. You wanted peace. The market offered plot. Plots flatter panic. Peace flattens budgets. Choose, and do not lie about your choice. If you pick plot, may your stage be honest and your tickets taxed. If you pick peace, may your rooms grow unclippable. Speech that refuses to arc for applause. Faces that remain unlit long enough to become human again. Names that can survive being forgotten because they did not live by being said. I have not given you a technique because techniques are edible. I have given you a disgust, a palate that no longer tolerates conflict dressed as revelation. If you cannot yet taste the difference, the show will go on without you noticing you are on it. When you can taste it, you will spit gently as one spits out a masquerade's dust, and you will walk, not away from anyone, but out of the grammar that turns souls into episodes. If your faith needs a feud to breathe, it isn't faith, it's stage smoke. I'm Silent Flame. Take the crown off conflict or stop calling the theater sacred.